I have to say, it was so exciting for me to see everyone saying hi with the chats and to see um, people saying hi from all over the world and all over the country. I had a really big smile on my face. So thank you all for giving me a big boost of energy. We're going to start the class today with a nice meditation, about 20 minutes. So take some time to settle into your space right now. While I'm guiding the meditation, I encourage and invite you to either close your eyes or just to drop your gaze so that you're not actually looking at a screen, which is obviously outward facing when you're meditating, which is of course an inward facing practice. So take your time to get comfortable. Today's class is on compassion, because that's really all I teach. I hope that as you're settling into your space that you can hear the birds here in the Hudson Valley. It's a beautiful, bright day, and they're chirping away. And begin by taking a very long, very slow breath in. And enjoy a long, slow breath out. If you like, roll your shoulders back a little. Roll your head around. Stretch your arms up. Stretch any way that you like. As you settle in, you might want to look around your space a little bit. When we begin a meditation, we want to be as natural as possible. And that means going slowly, savoring the transition. And once again, take a nice, long, deep breath in. And slow breath out. And start to really feel into your body. Feel whatever you're sitting on. Feel the space that you're in. And start to feel your breath. And feel how your breath moves your body. Sometimes we're fearful about sitting still, but we forget how much movement, how much activity there is, and how soothing it can be to simply feel how the body moves each time you breathe in Feel how it moves each time you breathe out. Yes, thoughts will come. No big deal. Whenever they do, just remind yourself that you're doing a practice of feeling right now. And you can go back to thinking when you're done. But right now, just feel your body breathing. See how soft and receptive you can make your mind, while at the same time encouraging it to be bright, alive. Be curious and kind. What does it feel like to be in my body and breathe right now? What does it feel like to be alive right now? Keep softening your mind, and at the same time, keep brightening it. This is the key to feeling alive, to experiencing ourselves in our world. Soft and bright. Once again, take a nice, really deep breath in and out. Observe yourself, observe your own process as you gradually settle and transition into this practice. Maybe this is the one time in your day where there's no rushing, no forcing. And to continue this transition, turn your awareness more directly to your physical body. When you tune into your physical body right now, what do you experience? And can you take that information, that data in gently, objectively, without pushing away anything that's unpleasant? without fearfully clinging to anything that's pleasant. And without checking out, really staying interested and engaged, connected to your experience. Now start to notice how you feel energetically today. Do you feel agitated or easeful? Do you feel dull, wound up? And see how much data you can gather here, again, without pushing anything away, without checking out, and without clinging to anything that's pleasurable. Now bring your mind back to your breath. Try to feel the breath with more sensitivity and more ease. Feel the chest rise and fall. Then again, just keep observing your process of slowly settling. See if you can be curious about it. Now I invite you to start to breathe in and out of your heart, not the physical heart, but the energetic heart in the center of our chest. You can imagine, if you like, that you have two nostrils there. And as you breathe in and out of your heart, maybe you can feel how much you want to be happy. And how everyone around us is just trying to be happy. Isn't that beautiful? Our shared impulse, our shared desire, this instinct for joy, happiness. Now bring to mind someone that you love, someone you care about. Pick someone easy for this one. Picture them in your mind's eye. And now imagine them happy. Maybe you see them doing something they love. See them smiling, joy just oozing out of them, a real sparkle in their eye. And notice how you feel as you think of this person happy, laughing. And if you feel some warmth, some joy inside your own body, invite it to spread out. Let it nourish your cells. Let it bring a brightness, a healing nectar all through your being. Now bringing to mind that person again and thanking them for being the basis of your practice, of your happiness in this moment. Your happiness was created by thinking of them being happy. How amazing. And imagine again, they're beyond delighted. Not only were they happy, but now they made you happy. They're beside themselves with joy. Maybe they do a little happy dance. They can barely contain it. And start to deepen your breath again, turning your awareness back to your body. Feeling what's arising in the moment. Making contact with life. So rich. So beautiful. And start to gradually really deepen your breath. Bring some movement to your body, very gentle and organic. Without looking at the screen yet, you can start to open your eyes and look around your space. And again, without rushing, slowly starting to bring your attention back to the screen. These crazy magical screens. Good. So, as I said, today's class is about compassion, which means that it's about happiness. And wouldn't it be wonderful if every time we said the word compassion, we trained ourselves to think happiness? And every time we said the word happiness, we trained ourselves to think compassion. Wouldn't that be a wonderful practice? The Buddhist teachings are really clear. And I should say that although I've studied in the three primary traditions, most of my background is in Tibetan Buddhism, specifically the Gelug lineage. So I think it's important to know the lineage of the person who's speaking because it really informs the content and the way that they've kind of been taught to conceptualize things. But fundamental to Buddhist teachings is this idea that our happiness is created by helping others, that the cause of our personal happiness, us over here, is helping others over there. And that's really radical. It's really confusing. It doesn't quite make sense. How can the cause of my happiness be helping not me? We don't even get it. The basis of that are these teachings on interdependence, which just means it means a few things, but most simply it means that everything's deeply, deeply connected, can't exist in isolation. Shorthand for that in Buddhism is wisdom, the way things exist. And what the yogis say, what the scriptures say, is that things don't exist the way we perceive them. In order to see how they really exist, we have to go very deep inside. We have to really get to our hearts and our minds in a very deep level, on the inside. Most of what I've been reading, most of what I've seen in in media right now is really about how not to go insane during the coronavirus. Like that's what it really boils down to. Just how can we not go insane? And to me, that really gets at the secular viewpoint. From a secular perspective, the best we can do is not go insane. From a spiritual perspective, and specifically from a Buddhist perspective, that doesn't satisfy us. Not going insane isn't good enough. Here, the invitation is, can you be happy? There's a really big difference there. Can you hear it? Instead of trying just to hold it together, not to lose it. The question, the experiment on the table, because it's all it is a personal experiment that's been laid out, but you have to follow it yourself to see if it bears results. The experiment is, can we actually be happy? Real happiness. That's the shorthand for enlightenment, by the way. Enlightenment, big fancy words, nirvana, is happiness. This is what we're after. This is what Buddhism is all about. How to be happy. How to see things clearly so that you can be happy. And what's the method? Compassion. Easy. So easy. So compassion just means taking care of someone who's suffering. Usually we talk about it as not me. Someone out there suffering, not me. We take care of not me. And the result is, the experiment is, does it make me happy? And that assertion, that tenet, again, I'll say it again, it rests on the fact that the idea of me and not me doesn't even exist. I mean, the idea exists. The reality of it dissolves under inner investigation. It dissolves under mere intellectual investigation too, but that won't get us very far. The intellectual stuff, Yeah, you start there. But it's really about the inner stuff. So this is where we are. Things are crazy. We have the opportunity. We can just plow ahead and do our best not to go insane. Fine, valid, better than going insane. No joke. Please pick that one rather than going insane. Or we have the opportunity, can we be happy? Can we try some methods and techniques to see if we can be happy, even when everything's going crazy? And this is what leads us to compassion. So we have inner compassion, and we'll do a meditation on that in a few minutes. You have a taste of how to develop compassion on the inside, these inner methods, which Buddhism's really concerned with. And we have compassion on the outer. So outer methods of compassion, after I'm done with the talk, we'll put something up in the chat, some organizations you can donate to. By the way, what inspired this talk is, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, in response to the virus, what did he say to do? Get out there and help people in need, help the most vulnerable people. So some ways you can help on the outside. And again, we'll put this in the chat at the end, so don't worry about it. There's places you can donate to that are gathering donations for organizations that are really involved in the front lines of fighting the virus. That's one thing you can do. Big, multinational organizations with large reach. 2, you can donate your time listening. Write some postcards, some letters. What would be really helpful, would take a little more engagement, is if we could get the names and some phone numbers of some people, elderly specifically, people in our community who have been really shut off from the very little social interaction they have. Their church groups, their whatever meetings, bingo night or something. If we could get some numbers and just call someone, just listen, just say hi. I'm a neighbor and I just wanted to say hi. There's another way you can donate. There's a clinic that serves the most poor in Haiti, which is being devastated by the virus right now, of course. And one of my teachers is offering a free webinar on natural ways to protect your immune system during the virus. And if you donate, I don't know, $15 or something, $15 to $50, you get access to this free webinar, and all the proceeds go to Haiti. So those are ways to help on the outside. Now we can talk about, how do we work on compassion on the inside? And can we start to think that meditating is doing something? We don't think of it as an action. Somehow things that happen on the inside, they're not actions to us. Of course it's an action. Sitting on your cushion, taking this radical approach of, I'm not settling for not going insane. I want happiness. And then doing something about that on the inside is a massive action with beautiful, far-reaching consequences that we can only begin to grasp at. So that's the invitation. That's the call. You take it up if you like. No big deal. Good. Okay, so we're going to do a short little meditation so I can teach you a nice compassion practice. It's based on the love practice we did in the beginning, and then we'll open it up to some questions. So get comfortable again. And again, we want to ease into this, right? So I've just been talking. So shifting your awareness away from the screen and just looking around the room that you're in again. Whatever space you're in. And without rushing, without forcing, just start to feel your body, and specifically your breath. For me, feeling feels so good, even when what I'm feeling is difficult. When we feel, we make contact with life. So let yourself feel just the breath right now. By the way, I count hearing as a form of feeling. It's funny, you can feel a voice, right? You can feel the birds. Let yourself feel. And again, bring to mind someone you love, a different person this time, maybe. Someone you care about. How do you feel just when you think about them? This is the experiment, right? We just want to get to know what's happening in the moment in our minds. And now think of this person happy. Again, see them laughing, skipping, shining, bright. And take in their happiness. Let it bring you some warmth and energy. And imagine the happiness of them that maybe is resonating within you as a warm golden light in your heart center. It's so nourishing. It feels so right, so full of everything we need to be alive and happy. And now bring to mind someone you know who's struggling right now. Could be anyone. We're all anxious and uncertain. And send that warm golden light, that happiness that's in your heart, to that person you know who's struggling. And imagine this warm light spreading throughout their body. And at first it soothes them. And then it increases in them. And they start to feel happy, joyous, and at peace. Now bring your mind back to your heart. And think of a few people you know, like a group of people, like your family, some people you work with, someone in your community, a little group. They can know each other or not. It's nice if they know each other, though. And imagine this group's really happy. They're getting together again. They're laughing. They're really happy. And let that image of this happy group fire up the warm light in your heart again. So it's bright, it's good. This warm golden light. And now think of everyone in the world right now. Confused, unstable, some people sick, some people grieving. And send this warm golden light in your heart out to every being. And as you do this, it's not just the warm golden light from your heart that's touching every being. It's happening from my heart and everyone who's on this call. Your heart is being touched by the 1,000 people doing this practice right now. Everyone's heart. And imagine that everyone, the whole world right now, feels some solace, some connection, that someone cares, and in that care is the seed of happiness, of joy. Imagine everyone in the world over right now, some little pause where they feel like everything's okay, and we're all moving towards happiness. And bring your mind back to your breath and your body. Bring some movement back into your body. Hear the birds. Notice how you feel. And collectively, we can thank everyone in the whole wide world who just acted as the basis of our practice, the basis of our own happiness. And with that lovely thought in mind, take a nice deep breath in. Nice long breath out. And slowly start to come back into your room. Start to come back, excuse me, to the screen. And now we'll have some time to chat a bit, to ask some questions and see what comes up, see what's on your mind, to interact with this magical, crazy screen of ours. So Liza, I'm gonna let you just read off some questions.
Great, thank you so much, Megan, for sharing that practice with us. And everyone, just a reminder, you can find the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. So Joanne has a question. She says, can you speak a bit on loneliness and self-compassion? Because when we are able to connect with others, we aren't able to help others to create our own happiness. Having a happy memory of someone we love, being happy only goes so far. Thank you.
Yeah. And so I'm just going to read it too, because I forgot I can do that. Well, really what we're trying to do, and I'll admit, this is a little bit intermediate, but sometimes the easiest way in is the intermediate way. Not always, so we just have to go with it. But what we're really trying to do, what Buddhism is really challenging here, is this idea of self, what I was calling me and not me. And what we're saying is that idea doesn't hold up. So when we look at it that way, and this frame isn't always applicable, so don't go too far down it. But when we look at it that way, this idea of self-compassion versus compassion for others, it falls apart. What Buddhism is putting forward is that because that distinction falls apart, you can create happiness for self by taking care of not self. So for example, if you feel lonely, whatever it is, you trade loneliness in for anxious, depressed, angry, whatever. We're saying loneliness here. You feel lonely. Well, then you make wishes. That means inner aspirations, inner meditations to alleviate the loneliness of others, of not me. That's the inner work. And then on the outside, you take measures to concretely on the outside help to alleviate the loneliness of others. And then that's the experiment. If I feel lonely and I put my energy into helping other people not feel lonely, do I feel better? And we have to each try the experiment ourselves, just like that. Good. What's next?
Thank you. So Michael is asking, I'm usually quite happy, and I agree that much of my happiness comes from helping others. What challenges my happiness is when I need to make a decision at work as a leader that seems complicated and is unlikely to satisfy all affected by my decision. Can you speak to happiness and decision making?
Yeah. Man, samsara. This goes back to the first noble truth. It can't all work out. It's just not, there's no way. You can't organize your world, your life, your work, your this, your that in such a way that it's going to be like happy all the time. It's just not it at all. In fact, the reality is, and we're living it right now, is that things are totally unstable, totally uncertain all the time. And as soon as we start to really get that, we have blinders on to the fact that everything is unstable and uncertain and dangerous. It's some of us have blinders like the size of skyscrapers, like we just can't see anything. And some of us just have like little horse blinders. In Buddhism, we're trying to drop the blinders completely and just see that everything is inherently unsafe. It's inherently unstable. This is not a good situation that we're in. And the more that we realize that, the less we don't have to worry so much. Yeah, you make a decision. Someone's happy, someone's unhappy. That's okay. You do the best we can to serve the greatest good of the greatest number of people. And the thing of samsara is it's all mixed. It's not going to work out. Even if you're vegan, you eat a salad, you've still been responsible for killing a bunch of bugs. That's the soup we're in. So we just have to get used to that idea, and then we don't have to worry about it so much.
Thank you so much. We'll get to another question. I saw a few questions about why I'm in the car. It's because this is the best Wi-Fi, so here we all are. So Elizabeth has a question. She says, as an empath, I pick up on other people's emotions easily, and it's easy for me to get lost in other people's emotions and to collect my own. I sometimes forget to go internal, and it's a challenge for me to remember to put conscious energy towards that. Because of this, I struggle with the line between being internal and focusing energy outward on others. I struggle to find my own space and set boundaries, but don't want to lose my compassion for others. What can you recommend for this?
Yeah. I mean, we have this idea that setting boundaries is somehow not in service to others. Um, my experience is that it just couldn't be farther from the truth. I mean, think about the doctors right now. If they didn't have boundaries of like getting a good night's sleep and eating some meal, like they wouldn't be as good as they could be. So our boundaries actually enable us to serve others better. So that's one thing. We're really confused on that. We have to work on that. Um, the other thing is, the more we're aware, the more we turn inside, and this is especially true for empaths. And the more you feel how like penetrated or agitated or overrun you feel by your engagement with the outer world, the more compelled you are to do something to change it. It's like if you stick your hand in the fire and you're really aware that it's burning, you're gonna pull it out. But if you numb yourself and you stick your hand in the fire, numbing yourself in this case means not looking inward. You numb yourself, you don't look inward, you just watch YouTubes and listen to podcasts or Netflix or whatever. You're numb, you stick your hand in the fire, you don't even feel that it's burning. You take away the numbing devices, you feel it, you automatically pull the hand out. It's easy, you don't even have to think about it. So like that.
Thank you. So there's a question from Rick. He is saying, when you soften your mind, what exactly do you mean?
Oh, yeah, thanks for asking. Well, we can look at what a hard mind means. A hard mind means things can't get through. And my teacher once said that anger doesn't like anything beautiful. Anger creates a hard mind. Anger only sees one perspective. I'm right, you're wrong. Nothing else gets in. That's a hard mind. A soft mind, and in Buddhism, they say compassion is the main thing that softens the mind, wisdom too. A soft mind means that you can take everything in. You can take the data in and you can work with it. You can mold it. You can change it. So that which appears, which we experience as suffering, if your mind's soft enough with compassion, you can change it. And then before you know it, you've got happiness in your hand. It was suffering. It was anger. You mix it with compassion and now it's happiness. That's what a soft mind means.
Thank you. So Vera has a question. Can you please get into how sitting in meditation is I think that's compassionate action and not just an egoistic thing to make me feel better?
Yeah. Man, have you ever been around someone who's in a bad mood? Like, it's terrible, right? They make you in a bad mood. They put all their junk on you. If that person who's in a crappy mood went and meditated on compassion and then came into a good mood, how could you say that's egoistic on their part? They've just totally changed the dynamic in your house or your workplace or your whatever. Because we are so interconnected, it's impossible for it to be egoistic. It must have a relational effect. Okay.
Thank you. Lori asks, how can you help someone at a distance? I think that's something a lot of us are going through. I have a friend who is going through an extremely hard time and I can't be physically present for her.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always such a big challenge, right? And you know, it's one that's really applicable, not just now, it just happens. Like we can't always physically be there with someone. And even when we're physically there, how do you get through? How do you actually help, you know? One of the primary ways is through the intention, the desire to help. So whether you're physically with the person or you're separate from them, you cultivate this desire to be there with them, to help them, to heal them. And then if you're on the phone with them, when you're listening to them, you're thinking, how can I help? How can I help? My intention is to help. My intention is to help. And you let that infuse your being. And then it translates to them. You also help in your meditation practice. You learn some practices like Tonglen or the practice I just taught you. You send them help in your mind and you see, does it help? You have to ask them. You have to maybe do it for a long time now. Or even better, you get other people to do it with you at the same time. Woo! Then you're really cooking. So those are 2 ways like that. Cultivate a strong intention to help and do some inner practices. And, you can always bake them cookies maybe if they can eat cookies.
Wonderful. We have time for maybe 2, 3 more questions. So an anonymous attendee is feeling that the compassion statements to them sound artificial. When I am suffering, I don't have the capacity to send warm golden light to others. When I'm the one offering compassion and the same person who is suffering, how do you offer compassion? How do you disidentify?
Can you just read it again? I heard that the compassion practices feel disingenuous and that when we're suffering, actually, I'll just answer the first part first, then you can reread me the second part. And when we're suffering, it's really hard to send compassion, to get that warm light out. Whoa, yeah, totally. On the one hand, this is a hard truth here. On the one hand, the whole point is to be prepping our minds so that when the suffering comes, when the crisis comes, we already have the skills, we already have the practice. It's really hard to get the skills and the practice when you're in the midst of suffering. It's not too late, but it's really, really, really tough. So we have to acknowledge that. And that's what practice means. You practice for the event. What's the event? Suffering. It's gonna come. Okay, what's the second part?
The second part, they're asking when they are offering compassion and also suffering, how do you do that? How do you disidentify? So it sounds like something that you addressed in the first part.
Yeah, I don't quite follow. How do you disidentify? Yeah, I don't understand. Maybe read the whole question again. And
These compassionate statements sound artificial. When I'm suffering, I don't have the capacity to send warm golden light to others. When I am the one offering compassion and the same person who is suffering, how do you offer the compassion? How do you disidentify?
Yeah. Okay, I understand. One, you already have the direct experience, maybe, or you can keep testing it yourself. When you think of someone you love and you imagine them happy, most of the time, we ourselves feel happy. So that's proof that you're not disconnected. You're not separate. All you have to do is think of someone else and you feel happy. You've already had that experience. So you have to keep reminding yourself, but you have to test it. This takes a long time. But we're trying to break down this idea of me and not me. And how do I deal with not me and still get what I want? That's the experiment. Yeah, like that. But I will say, and again, this goes back to what I was saying earlier, if we really follow that logically through, it means that if there's no difference between me and not me, or not that there's no difference, but the difference isn't the way we perceive it, then there's also no difference, or not in the way we perceive it, between self-compassion and compassion for others. So it goes both ways. That means you can do a compassion practice for yourself and it'll benefit others because it's not separate. So if you're really suffering and you don't have enough training, you don't have the basis yet to send it to someone else, you go to yourself. Of course. You do what you got to do to take care of yourself. And then see how it affects how you think of other people. And does it give you the energy to then turn your awareness to them? Like that.
Thank you. We have time for 2 more questions. So one is one that I've seen come up a couple of times. Thank you so much for this beautiful practice. How to practice compassion for difficult people or enemies. And otherwise, people have also been asking, how do you practice compassion for public figures who one may feel haven't been responding appropriately to the crisis?
Yeah. Most people, this is my opinion, right? Most people are skipping ahead to that part. in Buddhism is really systematic, really developmental. So before you get into offering compassion to difficult people or to people who are actively harming people by your perception, you've got to train in the basis of getting compassionate for people you already know, people you're connected to. That's why in the meditation, we started with think of someone you know who's suffering. And then we jump to the whole wide world, because that's the whole wide world is really vague, right? It's easier in a way. But you just go step by step. So you don't worry about those difficult people ones yet. Because here's the thing. If you skip to trying to offer compassion to people that you're not ready for, it can have the effect of closing your heart more, which means you've got to do extra work down the road to open it up. And that's totally inefficient. So instead, just work on getting really good on your close circle first. And then you go to people that aren't so difficult. And then you really test, you go gently with the difficult people. And if it doesn't work, if your heart's closing, you back off. No big deal. You got lifetimes, guys. It's no big deal.
Thank you. And one last question. Ashley says, where else can I find Megan and her teachings?
Oh, that's sweet. So right now it's, not just teaching out of my house. My website is meganmook.com, MEGANMOOK. And there's some guided meditations up there. I work one-on-one. You can also send me an email. I have some online courses that are up and that are coming up, but mostly just send me an email, because my whole thing is I really like to get to know people one-on-one, because that's the way I was trained traditionally, and that's the way I like to train people. So you can reach out like that. And then can we put those links in the chat, those donation places, the New York Times and the Haiti website? Did you get the email I sent you, Eliza?
Oh, I haven't seen those. I can pull those up though, and
I can
post those.
I can pull it up too for you all.
Great, thank you. If you wouldn't mind putting those there, I can tell everyone where to find other meditations in these series.
Oh yeah, do you do that?
Great. Well, this is wrapping up at the end of this session. Thank you all again for making the time in the middle of what may be a very busy day to sit and to connect. As we said before, we're offering these sessions for free. We appreciate any donations you'd be able to make. You can consider donating at tricycle.org/donate. And we're very grateful for everyone who already has offered donations. Thank you so much for Megan for taking the time to lead and to teach us today. I think it's been really grounding during this difficult time. And everyone, if you're interested in joining for more meditations, you can mark your schedule for this Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be with the Tibetan Buddhist nun Marcella Klajiva, and you can find that at tricycle.org/live, where we keep the upcoming schedule and recordings of all past meditations. So thank you all again. Thank you, Megan, and may everyone be happy and safe.
Right. Thanks, everyone. I posted that thing in the chat. And may our practice yield the results of helping all beings in the world right now.
Thank you, Megan.
Bye-bye.